Strategy has various connotations to people. Some confuse it with being the best in the industry, some say it's increasing profitability, some may say it's gaining more customers, and so on and so forth. So, today we shall learn what is strategy in a layman's language. Strategy is about developing a firm's answer to two very basic questions: where should we compete, and how should we compete? There can be many ways to answer these questions, and there can of course be both good and bad answers. Good answers are those that led the firm to develop successful strategies and outdo their rivals in the long run. But on the other hand, firms that come up with inappropriate answers are led to failure and loss of business value. The purpose of strategy is to create a competitive advantage that generates superior, sustainable financial returns. Let's analyze this quickly. Every firm expects return on investment which is fair. These financial returns only aid in business survival and continuity. Further, the business operates in an environment of uncertainty fueled by various factors which make sustainability a challenge. In order to ensure its sustainability, the business firm should be able to deal with these factors and be able to create a distinct place for itself. There are two requirements for doing this successfully. The first is an understanding of the business landscape, the forces that shape competition, the dynamics among players, and the drivers of industry evolution. This informs where the firm chooses to engage with its competition. The second is the choice of a position on this landscape. The firm's positioning shapes the choice of a business model and the underlying set of activities that sustains it. Developing a good strategy is not easy, as the right set of choices may not be obvious in situations a firm faces. Secondly, the firms, no matter how big or small, have finite resources. Strategic decisions are made amid uncertainty. A strategy can fail if the firm chooses a particularly difficult place on the business landscape that it cannot maintain or adapt to. Failure can also be when a firm fails to align itself, its resources, its culture and leadership, or its business model with the choice it has made. On the other hand, successful strategy results out of consistency with the variables of the external environment, consistency firms' internal activities, consistency with firms' future direction, and also in terms of long-term industry dynamics. A company's strategy consists of the competitive moves and business approaches that managers are employing to grow the business, attract and please customers, compete successfully, conduct operations, and achieve the targeted levels of organizational performance. The word strategy was derived from the Greek word strategos, referring to military command. In late 18th and early 19th century, military theorist Karl von Clausewitz distinguished between tactics such as campaigns on the battlefield and the discipline of strategy. Strategy demanded a broad perspective. Tactics were merely means to an end. Strategy had to focus on the object of the war and give a name to the whole military action. Strategy was the overarching plan, the aim, to which specific campaigns and actions were subordinated, and which had to accommodate the uncertainties of external circumstances and enemy actions. The academic foundations of business strategy developed in parallel to the changes in the industrial economy. The earliest business schools were instrumental in emphasizing the importance of fitting a firm's strategy with its environment. Even as the concepts of business strategy evolved, the underlying premise of strategy remained unchanged. Strategy in this original sense should be interpreted as competitive strategy. Every business must operate in an environment marked by competition, structural forces, and uncertainty. Every business must make choices that fit together in a holistic, consistent way in order to succeed in that environment. Those choices are the essence of strategy. Deploying robust technology, building a thriving culture, and introducing innovations are all important, but they must not be mistaken for strategy. Cutting costs and boosting productivity are also important and may make an organization more effective, but again, they are tactics, not strategy itself. Relevance of strategy in business became more apparent in the second half of the 19th century with expansion of railroads providing better access to distant markets, and improved financial services providing better access to capital. Prior to this period, industries were typically marked by intense competition. Most firms were small, with limited capital and no power to significantly influence their markets. With those developments, large-scale investments became both possible and profitable. creating opportunities to achieve an advantage through economies of scale or economies of scope. Managers now applied strategy to business, and consciously built companies to outflank competitors and to adapt to external forces, leading to the gradual emergence of large, vertically integrated businesses in the late 19th century and the beginning of 20th century. The present periods are full of turbulence, where the role of strategic planning is to enable the firm to maintain an equilibrium with the dynamic business environment, both by combating competitive and environmental pressures as well as by reaping benefits of growing opportunities. Let's now try to understand the concept of strategic management. Strategic management can be defined as the set of decisions and actions that result in the formulation and implementation of plan designed to achieve a company's objectives. It includes developing a thorough understanding of the position of the organization with respect to its external stakeholders and internal factors, developing strategic choices that meet its objectives and mission, ensuring the implementation of the chosen strategy while taking corrective action on the way. While strategy is the direction and scope of an organization over the long term, which achieves advantage for the organization through its configuration of resources within a changing environment and to fulfill stakeholder expectations. Strategic management includes understanding the strategic position of an organization, strategic choices for the future, and turning strategy into action. Understanding strategic position further spells out to developing a thorough understanding of the business environment, business's resources and competences, and its mission and vision. Understanding the strategic choices refers to developing strategies at the corporate and business level and deciding the broad direction and methods the business firm shall undertake. Lastly, these chosen strategies are further crystallized into functional and operational level strategies and plans, which are implemented through development of the right structures, processes and mechanisms. Here we illustrate a strategic management model that was proposed by Thomas L. Whelan and J. David Hunger. This model presents what a firm should do in terms of the strategic management process. The rational planning model predicts that as environmental uncertainty increases, companies that work more logically and dedicatedly to analyze and predict more accurately the changing situation in which they operate are more successful than their rivals in the industry. There are 4 basic steps in the model, namely, environmental scanning, strategy formulation, strategy implementation, and evaluation and control. Environmental scanning is the monitoring, evaluating, and disseminating of information from the external and internal environments to key people within the company. The aim is to identify strategic factors, those external and internal elements that will determine the future of the business. While the external environment leads to opportunities and threats, the internal environment leads to strengths and weaknesses. Combing these four lays the bed of SWOT upon which the strategies are to be implanted. Strategy formulation is the development of long-term plans for the effective management of environmental opportunities and threats, in light of corporate strengths and weaknesses. It includes defining the corporate mission, specifying achievable objectives, developing strategies, and setting policy guidelines. Strategy implementation is a process by which strategies and policies are put into action through the development of programs, budgets, and procedures. This might necessitate changes within the overall culture, structure, and/or processes of the entire organization. Evaluation and control is a process in which corporate activities and performance results are monitored so that actual performance can be compared with desired performance. Thank you for listening and happy learning.